feel about Deontay Wilder and the way that how he's looking in training camp? I know training is one thing, but if he could transition what he's doing in training into fight night, what do you feel about what he's implementing in his training?
I mean, at the end of the day, your guess is really as good as mine when it comes to this. One thing I've learned since the heavyweight division got hot again, because for a lot of my life, heavyweight division wasn't hot. Heavyweight division is something different a little bit than the rest of boxing. There's more unpredictability in heavyweight boxing. So, but with that, I don't know if it's. I know that a lot of great trainers, when they talked about making adjustments for a guy trying to win a rematch, they said you don't tear the whole house down and try to teach him how to fight all over again. You make little adjustments, especially with a fighter in Deontay's age,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm looking at some of the stuff Malik Scott and him are doing, and it's almost like he's trying to teach him how to box all over again. Like they're not just working on a couple adjustments. It's like we're gonna do everything that you haven't been doing. We're gonna have you move the head. We're gonna have you start up with and that's all well and good, but it goes against what other great trainers I've heard say over the years, which is, look, he's older, and in a rematch, it's about little adjustments, and you can't take a fighter in your first fight, training them and teaching them and try to teach them the whole book all over again. And so I kind of see that happening with Malik Scott. And you get a lot of people out there you talk to in boxing off camera, and they really doubt Malik Scott's ability with Deontay Wilder. But I like Malik Scott. He really knows boxing. He watches, I mean, aside from being a heavyweight himself, he watches black and white tapes and old fights and new fights and all of that. And he's always studying. So they're going to come with their best. But I just, when this fight first was announced, I kind of thought of Kelly Pavlik and Jermaine Taylor, where
Oh yeah.
Jermaine Taylor went back to the lab for the rematch,
Mm-hmm.
and he worked on a lot of the flaws he was doing. And he came back, and it was a really competitive second fight, but he lost the fight still again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wonder if that's what's going to happen with Deontay, where he shows up, he works on the things he said he was going to work on. He doesn't just revert back to being Deontay, but ultimately he's fighting a guy that's got his number a little bit, that beats him once again. I can see that happening. I'm going with three, but we'll see.
I think like if I just don't compare him to the other fighters and their experience. Deontay Wilder. One thing about Deontay Wilder, we know that he walked into a boxing gym at the age of 21. He accomplished so much for a guy that came into the boxing world at the age of 21 and not really trying to be great, but just trying to take care of his daughter. But he emerged to be a great one of the greatest feared powerful heavyweights in the history of boxing. Right? He got the gold. He got the bronze medal, tied Muhammad Ali for title defenses in the heavyweight division. So my history of just Deontay Wilder himself, not comparing him to other fighters that have changed trainers or fighters that's broken down and try to build them right back up, is that one thing about him is that he gets it fast. He's a fast learner. To reach this level at the age that he walked in the gym, he's a fast learner. So I do think that he got the basics on lock because I think that with the basics is what he's been beating people up. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows the right hand. Like everybody in the boxing world knows what Deontay Wilder's going to do, and he still did it. He only failed in his last outing. And even in the first fight, he did knock the dude down twice. So it's not too far off to just tweak certain things. Now there was two things that I said, well, three things that I feel like Deontay Wilder could have got better. One thing that I don't like that he was getting caught with feints, because with Tyson Fury, he sets everything up with feints. If you're already getting caught with feints, that's it. He's gonna have a field day with you. That's why he couldn't have a field day with Otto Wallen because Otto Wallen wasn't trying to flinch on his feints. So it was kind of little. It was difficult to get Otto Wallen out of there because he stayed in a position. He wasn't falling for the feints. Deontay Wilder, if you look at the second fight, he was falling for each and every feint. That when I was watching the fight, I'm like, yo, stop falling for
Fury,
the feint.
Fury does have some beautiful feints though,
Oh,
and
well,
and, and Joshua's got to watch out with that with Usyk too, falling for those feints. But
one of the best feints in the game, right?
mm-hmm.
So Deontay Wilder needs to take care of that feint. Now, I do not know how you could teach somebody to stop falling for the feints because I think that's more a reflex thing. Um, but he needs to not get caught with the feint. That's number one. he needs to be more athletic than Tyson Fury. As a collegiate basketball and
Yeah.
football player that Deontay Wilder was, Tyson Fury shouldn't look more athletic than you. In my opinion, I'm
Well,
not
no, part of
casting.
why that right hand kept going in. Everyone talks about the power, but Wilder's fast.
Yeah.
He's athletic. He's fast.
Yeah, so I think he has abandoned his athleticism, with the Luis Ortiz fight and things of that nature, and he's just staying in line just to get hit or just waiting on a punch. So I think he needs to use his athleticism, and I think the body work. The body
Yeah.
work. If you have a freakish right hand, that doesn't mean the freakish right hand is only gonna hurt if you connect in the head. You could throw that freakish right hand into the solo plex. You could set that right hand for body punches. So you just don't have a freakish right hand just to land in the button, but you have a freakish right hand to connect to the body, slow Tyson Fury down. If it's movement, you got to slow him down by attacking the body first. Work your way from the bottom to the top, in my opinion. And that's number three. But number four is, if you have made it all this, if you have made it to where you have, made it to, with the weight being 217, 220, don't bulk up to 230, because if anybody know, if you never walked around 20 pounds of muscle ever in your life, you're gonna be slower, you're gonna feel
Yep.
sluggish. He don't carry that. That's not his normal thing. So if you are a freak of nature, which he is, then just be the freak. Be comfortable who you are. Don't try to come 20, 30 pounds with muscle. It's not gonna work. Be who you are. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what I see in Deontay Wilder. Be your 220, 219 if it's there. Don't try to bulk up. Be athletic. Go to the body and don't fall for feints. And I think he's gonna have a better outing than his last fight.
Well, I mean, I couldn't agree more with everything you just said. I can see why people tune in and love to hear you talk about boxing, because that was a beautiful breakdown, brother.
Good
Not
looking
gonna
out, my
lie,
brother. Good looking out, my brother.
it is. But no, because